Good morning. Welcome to the Fun Side of Business podcast. I am one of your hosts, Nick Hampton.
And I'm your other host, Gemma Addison.
Good morning, Gem.
Good morning, Nick. How are you? You're going to say...
Should we go
awesome,
amazing or awesome? Amazing. Yeah, but that's the same as you going, oh, I love everyone.
I do.
We're not going to that one again today.
No, we won't.
We've done that one more than once. Anyway, so go on then, Gem. Introduce today's guest. I don't want to do it.
I'm not doing that.
I didn't think you did.
Okay,
so we are going to go with, let's think about this intro for this guest. He is the man for websites.
Yeah.
He is the man with more strings to his bow than pretty much anyone ever is aware of.
Yeah.
But we'll change that during this podcast.
Everyone's going to be aware of everything.
Without further ado, I'm thinking what else I'm going to do, but I'm like, yeah, we'll cover it in the podcast.
You're going to let it,
Without further ado, we're introducing Craig Sennett. Hey!
Thank you very much. Hello.
The man from Night Web Design.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Or PC Futures, but you don't do PCs.
No, and that was a big cock up. Our big thing was we hate our name.
We hate our name.
You know, because my business partner at the time had a background in IT support for like 20 odd years. When we formed it, he's like, I don't really want to do IT support. And I went, oh, okay. And I remember I was out at Black Tie Do, chatting to this guy, and he's sitting next to me, and he went really quiet on me. And I thought, I said something this guy. You know, have I said something wrong? And I said to his wife later, because, obviously you sit male, female. And I said to her, did I say something to offend your husband? Like, no. And she said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, IT, name's PC Futures. And she goes, I think he thinks you're a copper.
Oh, PC.
and that's literally why.
I thought you were going to say, yeah, did I say anything to offend your husband? No, I did. I said, quite like that guy next to you.
No, so she's like, oh, PC Futures. Oh,
Hello,
he'll
I'm
think
PC
you're a copper.
Futures.
He doesn't like police. And I was like, oh, okay, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, I love that.
Anyway, we need to do this one. So this is a guest that I've wanted to get on just simply because if there's anyone who can finally settle this debate, it's Craig.
Oh, yes.
The debate. Right, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
For if you've listened to lots of our episodes, you know what's coming. If you haven't listened before, you're about to get blindsided.
Go for it.
Tell us about school.
For me,
yeah,
I went to 5 primary schools and 3 high schools.
Okay.
Didn't get kicked out of any.
Okay, so tell me about the high schools.
I started at Stoke High.
Yep.
For 3 months.
Unlucky.
And then
that's 2 months and
yeah.
Then
parents moved to Felixstowe, so I went to Deben High for sort of 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And then ended up with you at Coppleston.
Oh, Coppleston was that?
Yeah.
Oh, and so you were probably at Coppleston the longest?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, Stoke 3 months is probably
Stoke was the better one.
Yeah, guess what? We can't say too much. Remember, we're about to find out he's on the board of governors.
I am.
For Stoke.
The best school.
They just need governing. That's the problem. they need the most governing, which is why they've got Craig there to sort it all out.
No, it's really. I have to say, it's been quite an eye opener going into governance. It wasn't at all what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be a lot of kind of looking at curriculum and what's taught and stuff like that, and actually it isn't. There's a lot of other parts to it. You kind of go all over the place with different things that you get involved in. But it is good. But the one thing you don't really get involved in is the academia, the curriculum that's taught.
Which is what I assumed would be, yeah.
Totally. I was the same as well.
Do they do that at Stoke?
Yeah, they do now.
They teach?
Yeah, they are. And I have to say...
We have lessons.
They are really good. With the resources they've got.
Do they work out how to cut a tennis ball in half and hit it into a car lock and the lock's pop?
No. Okay. It's not like when you were at school.
Exactly, when you were at school at Coppleston.
No, that's what the Stoke kids came and taught us.
Yeah, I was going to say making out like Coppleston were angels. I went there.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was a year above. It's different.
Yeah.
We've had one Copplestonian, we call him, on here, and a Stokey so far.
That's
Nathan.
Interesting you say Stokey, because I was totally unaware of that phrase until I went there.
You never had a Stokey?
No, I did. It just wasn't.
He was there for 3 months.
Didn't really ever. I wasn't there long enough to get that. So yeah. But no, Stokey.
Did you find your first lesson in the first 3 months, or
no? I can't really remember any of it, to be honest. So I remember
probably
one
easiest forgotten, right?
Pretty girl I sat next to, and then next thing you get home and Dad's like, "Yeah, we're moving." I'm like,
I've got to move again now.
Yeah. So I got no idea what her name was, but she was lovely.
Okay. If this is you, by the way, please comment into the show.
Comment below.
That'd be amazing. Imagine if we found that, or how pissed off Marie would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we won't talk about that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
moving on.
So this was school. So obviously you've hopped around a lot. I mean, the thing is, because it's all local, it's not like, oh, you had army parents or anything. It was just what happened. What happened?
Yeah, my dad was British Army, actually.
Okay.
But it wasn't anything to do with that. The reason we moved around a lot was it was things like when we lived in Felixstowe, my dad moved us back to Ipswich because he said, I work at the port. I don't want you to work at the port.
Okay.
Which is a big, he don't want you to work in port or shipping or anything like that. I want to get you away so you don't end up being tied to it. So there was that.
Why 5 primary schools?
Sister went through a divorce, so they moved with one. Various reasons. To be the real truth of it,
It wasn't just you fighting.
No.
Say, is this all down to you, Craig?
I'm only saying that because we've had our previous guest, Houston, that's talking about fighting people.
Well, yeah, I've got similar martial arts.
I know you do, yeah.
But no, it wasn't that. It was what I put it down to is my parents were not very good at communicating with one another.
Okay.
So my mum would say, I don't like living here. Come on, Al, let's buy another house. So they'd go around and they'd pick one she liked and they'd move. And kind of a year later, he'd say, well, I don't like this. I said he'd another 30, 40 minutes on my journey to work. So they'd move somewhere else. And but
at no point did they think, let's talk about this before we do it.
They were funny. My parents did so much for me, but they were absolutely funny.
Which primary schools did you do?
Oh, I always struggle to remember one. It was Moorland, Halifax, which was the last one, obviously, Cliff Lane, Broke Hall, and there's bless you. There's always one I can't remember, but it comes back to me every now and again. So,
Whereabouts was it?
I can't remember. It was one I wasn't at very long.
Hillside.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was Hillside, but it does eventually come back to me every now and again. But yeah, I remember the ones I was at for a more significant amount of time.
Yeah.
But it's weird. So you'll wander through town and kind of, or you'll be at a bar or club or something. Someone will come up to you and go, all right, insert, they'll come over and say, all right, Craig. And I'll say, yeah. And I think, I have no idea who this person is. But depends on who they say, do you remember? I'm like, I know which school I know them from now. And then you work out who they were.
It must be hard if they say, I remember you from school. Yeah, which one?
Yeah, it is. And and Marie's like, do you know that person? I say, yeah, I think he went to this school. And but yeah, it was weird. So, but being the new guy actually oddly taught me a lot. So academia wise, I was pretty below par.
Was that hard for building friendship groups though?
No,
I know it's Ipswich because it's all still quite local, isn't it? But
as a child, you got used to being the new guy. So you
and obviously a child at
good.
Halifax and Stoke, you got used to gangs and stuff, right?
Yes, they're sniper trained. Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
I can't comment because I ran one of the gangs.
Yeah, of course you did.
One of the gangs.
But yeah, I think you do learn a lot of skills from it. Kind of interpersonal skills and stuff like that. But your academia suffers because the teachers, you can't blame them. They're like, okay, this is the third school he's had in 3 years. He's not going to be here long. So they were happy to not invest a lot of time in me.
Yeah.
I was happy to not have to do a lot of academic work. So it was a win-win.
On the board of governors, do you have to look at league tables?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that.
Who's highest, Stoke or Coppleston right now?
I couldn't tell you. I
genuinely that means Coppleston.
We should have asked him to research
that. Means Coppleston.
I genuinely couldn't tell you. But I know there's so many things going on in academia at the moment. It is quite mad, and with all the, because Labour now, without getting too political, they're talking about wanting to change what they're doing with SEND students and stuff like that. The costs of them are absolutely skyrocketing and things. It's quite a challenging time for them, but they'll get through it because they have to.
So there we go. So the results from school obviously weren't great.
No.
Further education?
I went to college, so I left school, went to college to study acting at Argyle Street when it was still a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good. I like that. I was one of only 3 guys in the class, so that was quite good.
Were you hoping to get found in Grange Hill or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that would have been good. The Bill or something. Yeah. But we moved again.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, we moved to Halesworth of all the places. Oh. That was the sister divorce, actually, that moved up there. And I moved up there for a while and, I'd kind of, as soon as I turned 18, I was like, I'm going back to Ipswich, so I left home quite early. Mm-hmm. But so we moved up there and that was the end of my budding acting career because we moved up there and Lowestoft was the nearest college and they didn't have anything like performing arts or anything like that. So I did the first year of my HND and that was the end of it.
I mean, you do know you're sitting in the same chair as someone who's in Quantum of Solace, right?
You?
No?
Who?
That chair over there. We had a guest in here who was in Quantum of Solace.
Oh,
did you?
yes. I was just working out who. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you like that, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's a good film.
Yeah.
Good film.
So it's a good podcast.
Yeah.
We get all the best.
Big Bond fan, yeah.
We get all the
Okay.
best Bonds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a Bond-alike in here.
Did you really?
Mm.
Oh, very good. Very good.
To be fair, when he actually got me to Google that page the other day,
Did his face come up straight away?
it did, and it actually looks remarkably like Daniel Craig.
Really?
Really like Daniel Craig. I'll show you later.
Could he do any of the voices?
No, so he was having a conversation when he came in, and he was talking about it, and he said, yeah, the problem is, it's like, when you have like Sean Connery, he said he's so well known for the voice, and, you have so-and-so, and they're known for this. He said, and Daniel Craig is not really known for anything.
No.
He said, but
It's
he's
just him,
Bond
isn't he? Yeah.
because he's there in a tuxedo.
Yeah.
And he said, and one of the gigs he got hired for was everyone was it was a black tie do. So he just walked in and went, oh, hang on a second, I'm not standing out in the slightest because everyone is in a tuxedo.
Yeah.
And he said, so he went along to just kind of be Bond and hit on some woman, and she just went, yeah, I'm married, and then handed her his coat, thinking he was one of the cloakroom attendants. So, yeah.
So if he had the voice, he'd be all right. He'd go, greetings, hello, Shevin license to crawl and crumble.
So, yeah, that was a fun. Anyway, we digress. Right, so acting
The
career
acting career's come to
over.
an end.
Bond, yeah.
Yeah,
Imagine
okay.
where that could have gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so after acting, what's the move?
Yeah,
After being a thespian with your acting card, where did you go to?
Yeah, my equity card still in the post. But I started with, so I went to work for a company called Lister Locks, architectural ironmongery, wholesale. So if you need advice on locks, door closers and hinges, I'm your man. I can't fit any of it. I just know what you
Do you
need.
still know it all
No,
now?
I've got the guy who can fit it as
No,
well now.
a lot of stuff's changed now.
Oh, okay.
So I still know enough about it.
Yeah.
So I started off in that, and then my sister said, cut your hair, get a job, the usual stuff. And then I sort of from there went into, I'd always been sales, but I went into recruitment after that. A very, very brief spell selling finance. And after about 8 weeks, I was like, I can't morally do this. I was lending money to people on exorbitant rates that couldn't afford to pay it back. And I was like, yeah, it's not really me. So I went into recruitment.
I love that. I had a moral check from finance selling into recruitment, and is about to talk about absolute degeneracy
Well,
that generally happens at every recruitment
We know
firm.
what happens in recruitment.
Well, I started with a company most people know, very, very politically correct with its name, Manpower. So I
Yes.
started with Manpower, and Manpower were great for a lot of things without getting too boring on the recruitment industry. They did a lot of temps, and they actually employed you well before working time directive or employment, any of this sort of stuff. They made the claim that they employed you fully, they paid holiday benefits and stuff like that well before it was law. And they placed such care on the temps that worked for them, but they weren't very good at selling what they did.
Right.
So they actually genuinely did care. And so that was a really, really good grounding. So they were the ethical side of recruitment. Very,
Okay.
very much so.
But obviously, the problem is, and this is where it's really bad, if you don't tell everyone that you're the ethical person, then all the people who are the total degenerates charging ridiculous fees and up to no good at, out of hours because they've made so much in commissions.
But that's why they were so bad at sales.
Yeah.
And as a company, they were, an American company, you think they would be very, very good at that. So I got to do some great stuff there. Went around the Millennium Dome as part of the launch and stuff like that. Some great stuff. But as a business, that if you started and spent your entire career there, you wouldn't have really got the hang of any of the sales stuff, because their sales mantra was, we're really good, we look after people, and we're a massive corporate.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't anything beyond that, And then I left there and went to Hayes IT.
Yeah.
Which was completely different.
I bet they were more degenerates, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Stratton Oakmont Mark II.
So where Hayes were, again, another big corporate, and I went to their head office. They weren't very good at looking after their candidates and staff, but they were incredibly good at selling.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, you kind of
A complete contrast.
Yeah, it was. I'd got a really good basic start out in the architectural ironmongery of sales, customer care, looking after people, and actually sticking by and doing what you say you're going to do, which I think is probably one of the biggest things in sales, is actually delivering and not leaving people short. Went to Manpower, learnt the kind of, the looking after people and all that sort of bit, and then tied that with the further sales kind of mentality of Hayes and stuff like that. But as you said earlier, it does attract some quite interesting personalities. And it is nuts, you know. I mean, you'd see some really, really strange things, probably an awful lot that I couldn't publicly say without landing in court. But there was one
We're
guy.
so talking about this after the
We've
podcast.
had this a few times with people in recruitment where we have to kind of bypass this section of their life quite quickly.
Well, we were just sitting
They
there
can't
one day, just sitting in the office, and they said, "Oh, you know, so the police are downstairs." And I was like, "Oh, it sounds juicy. What's going on?" And that they came in and arrested a relatively new member of staff for either threatening or attacking someone with an axe. And I was like, "That's a lively start to the week." And literally, they just took him and carted him off, never saw him again. You know,
God.
so you know, I mean, clearly he didn't stay in the business and stuff, but sort of throwing this
God,
back.
he really wanted that sale, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy I worked with many, many years ago, a guy called James Milligan. He was on the team with me. We were both kind of, 20, 22, 23. I think he was probably a year or two younger than me. Quite, sort of junior in the business sort of thing, working our way up. And I think he's now actually the head of Hayes IT.
Oh, wow.
And he really, really stuck it out.
He stuck it out.
No, but actually, he was a good, decent guy.
Did he get back his axe? No.
But no, he was a good guy. He worked really hard, actually. And it's nice to see someone stay in that environment, because I've worked for other recruitment businesses over my time. I was in it for 16 years. But traditionally, like a lot of industries like estate agents and other things, where they're very sales-heavy environments, and there's not a lot of legality checks like you guys with accountants and stuff.
Yeah.
It's Wild West, you can do what you like. And people tend to recruit in their own image.
Yeah.
And therefore you get jerks at the top, jerks in the middle, and jerks at the bottom joining. And I, as one of my kind of disappointments with the recruitment industry, and very, very good money out of it, as did my wife. We both did really well, and we met on a dodgy Christmas do.
That says it all.
But yeah,
we so need to talk about that photocopier, right?
But the truth of it is, there's some good people that got bullied out of the industry.
Yeah.
That could have gone on and done very well. But what people say is, if you don't make any money in 3 months, you're out. I mean, they're relatively true statements at a lot of places. But there are some like Manpower. If you don't make any money ever, that you're.
It doesn't matter, because we'll carry on looking after people.
Yeah.
Because they're good people.
Yeah, so there's very much the two sides to it. One where it's very, very commercial, and you've got to hit your targets. You've got to do that.
So were you at Hayes all that time? Because obviously you just said 16 years in recruitment.
No, I was at Hayes for about 2.5 years, 2 years. I went to join a small company in the city that was a big IT business that brought a recruitment company. So they made their own IT software, finance software, realised, we can make a load of money by charging our engineers out, and then accidentally brought a recruitment company to charge their engineers out. And so I got headhunted to go and work for them, which was good. And then,
So was it coincidence you're doing IT recruitment, or did he have a passion for it at that point?
well, no, because Manpower, I recruited HGV drivers for the port,
Okay.
and you learned a lot about dealing with people there, and that was great. And then all of my friends worked in IT. So, I was like, well, I don't. So this is the closest I can get, Hayes IT. The truth is, there was a lot more money to be made in it. And that's why I
Did you have a
wanted to go
passion
to
for IT at all, though? Or-
relative, but
okay.
not a huge
He had a
amount.
passion for the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the joke was, all my mates would laugh about how little I knew. I knew enough buzzwords to irritate my friends that actually were in the industry. And they'd be having a conversation about something, and I'd be like, yeah, nodding away sagely. And they'd look and go, you've got no idea what we're on about. It's like, yep, exactly. But
Sounds like me and you, Nick.
or occasionally I've read something in the news that I'd chime in, and then they'd suddenly remember it's me that said that, and I really don't know anything about it. So
Those who can do, those who can't blag and work in the IT sector. The
So
recruitment.
I was in IT for quite some time, then moved to a company called Mawson International, which is quite a big company we did a lot of the stuff at Sizewell, and I'm sure they'll be doing very well out of that. Again, they are the biggest independent recruitment agency in the UK, I think. Or they certainly were when I was there. Although, in fairness, one of my members, a contractor that worked for me, did ring me up and said, do you know your company name's an anagram of morons? And I went, no, but I think it fits. But actually, again, to be honest, I learned an awful lot of positive stuff out of Hayes. I learned a lot of good stuff out of Mawson as well. I can honestly say I don't think I worked for a bad recruitment business. they were all good. They all taught me stuff, and actually, but it's one of those ones. If you kind of get on and get knuckle down and get on with the work, you can actually do really well out of it. Earn very good money. But my wife and I always joke about this. We say, everyone should do a year in a recruitment industry because the things you learn, kind of, your manager would come over to me and he'd say, "Why are you doing that?" And I'd say, "Well, because it needs doing." He'd say, "Is it making you any money?" "No." "Right, stop it. Do something that's going to make you money." And it was, it was very like that. And this particular guy, a guy called Bill Lockton, lovely guy, I got on really well with him. Didn't to start with, but personality clash to begin with. But I remember, you'd see people do different styles of work, and he'd ring up customers to make a sales call. And it's, terribly sorry to disturb you, Mr. Hampton. My name's Bill Lockton. I'm calling from Hayes IT, and this is a sales call. And straight away, people were like, okay, right, well, at least he's been honest about it rather than kind of skirting around the sides and that. And for him, it worked really well, and he did well out of that. Mm-hmm. But it's not everyone's style, and you'd see different styles.
I actually prefer that at work if we get calls for someone to start off saying, "Oh, just to let you know, this is a sales call." Yeah, and I thought,
I looked at him when he did it. I was like,
because when I say, "Oh, is this a sales call?" and they're like, "Oh, well," and they stutter around trying to tell you no, it's not, when you kind of know it is.
And and I have to say, I learned a lot from him and many people. A lady called Andrea Mendel. I learned a lot from her at Manpower. She was great, Tila, my manager and stuff. So I owe the success I've had to an awful lot of people because I listened to people around me and thought, that person's got something to teach, so I'll pick that up. Yeah, and we've all got faults and stuff like that. But
so, did you ever set up your own recruitment company?
I did, yeah. A company called Icon Consultants had that.
Was it Icon with a K?
No, ICON.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might have asked you that before.
No, there is an IKON one, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Icon Consultants had that for about 12 years, I think. Yeah, well, we were in Ipswich. Yeah, we were in Ipswich. That's what I did before PC Futures.
Ah.
And set that up with a business partner. We did really well out of it. Grew. We had about 8 or 9 staff.
Was it any recruitment, or were you specific to
IT and media, really?
Okay.
So we did a lot of stuff with that, but actually we did really well out of it, and it was good for a long, long time. But yeah, I think you learn a lot when you set up a business, and usually it's through mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you did 4 years, and then you did 12 on your own.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What gave you the courage to do that because you only must have been in your 20s when you did it.
I think it was about 28, I think, when I started it. It was one of those things you just think, actually, do you know what, I'll give it a go. And I was confident enough that if it didn't work, I'd got such a good track record in the recruitment industry, I could go get a job somewhere else.
You could go back into recruitment,
And just say to someone in an interview, do you know what, I gave it a go, it didn't work.
Yeah.
But when you do that, you find out that starting a business is very different to being an employee.
We literally had this conversation earlier today, didn't we?
And you get that reality check real quick.
Yeah, very different.
But most of our recruitment was done in London and overseas. We did a lot of stuff in New York, Singapore and stuff like that, a lot of very media-heavy stuff. And that was great, but like a mistake we made is we rented really nice offices for 3 years that no one came to see.
Yeah, because they're all in London and New York, so no one cares.
Clients,
no one needed to
we could have been working out of a pigsty somewhere.
Yeah.
So you think, that's kind of 67 grand spent over 3 years that you really didn't need to spend. Yeah. And so, running a business is just an endless list of kind of adapting as you go in and making sure the mistakes you make are not enough to pull the business down.
We like to say that we don't fail. The lessons learned, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're just,
So why did you move from recruitment to IT?
Recruitment, so myself and my business partner decided we wanted to go different ways, so that was fine. I still talk to him every now and again and stuff like that. And he's still in recruitment, funnily enough.
Is Icon still there?
No. He set up another business, and from what I gather, he's doing quite well and stuff like that. We split the business. I ran my bit for a couple of years, did a lot of work in Dubai, got to go over there a few times and stuff was nice. I kind of wanted to move there, spoke to Marie, she wasn't keen, so that was the end of that. Yeah, I think her perception at the time of Dubai was like moving to Oman or something where it would be, she wouldn't be allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen. But I ran it for 2 years, and I had a kind of pot of money, and I thought I either need to get more staff in and get this going again, or I need to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I weighed it up and thought, I can earn a really good living doing this, but I'm actually not engaged in it. So, because it doesn't change, your product's people.
Yeah.
And they can be the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world.
Thing, yeah.
And you kind of, during the course of a sales cycle, they can go from being the best to the worst to the best to the worst,
yeah.
And stuff like that. And this was always the bit that my wife and I joke about why people should go into recruitment, because when you sell a person, which is really what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you sell your accounting services to me, which you do and have done, and you're wonderful.
No, we didn't pay him to say that.
Yeah, no. But when that happens, so long as you do what you said you'd do, the sale is pretty stable.
Yeah.
Your product is the service that's delivered by the people. Yeah. The problem with recruitment as an industry is your product is people. So your product, the client can change their mind, as can the product you've sold.
Yeah.
So no IT server has ever said, do you know what, me and my wife are getting divorced, I'm going to stay where I am. Or my old customer's given me a counter offer to stay.
Yeah. So
you've got to be that detail orientated about the process and following it through to make sure you turn over every stone. And I think so. It's a really good lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I say did it for 12 years. Enjoyed it. We won Recruitment Business of the Year, Team of the Year. We won all the awards at the do's and stuff. But to me, I'd fell out of love with the industry because it doesn't change.
Best office that no one ever visits.
Yeah.
Win that one.
And you think about it, during my time there, we only had the Working Time Directive.
Yeah.
Was the only thing that came out. The only thing that varies is how nice your client is or how good your candidate is.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of innovation in it. So I was looking to buy an IT business. I got some way down the line with that. They put the price up again at the end. The banks and the accountant I had at the time said it's not worth what they want for it. And I said that to them. I said, I can start one for less. And they went, go on then. So I did.
So you did?
Yeah. And that was the PC Futures
That's
chapter,
PC
really.
Futures came about.
Policing.
Forensic.
I'd have made a good cop, yeah.
So PC Futures happened for X amount of years.
Yeah, I was we started in 2013 and I left it 2 years ago.
Okay.
So that's longer than I thought.
Yeah. I think we were kind of.
Well, we've seen the evolution.
Well, because that's when I first met Craig, when he came to networking
PC Futures.
PC Futures and always said he hated the name.
Yeah. And that was a running joke. What we had, though, was like, a name of a business I think is quite important. And it can have good or bad connotations and stuff. And the problem we had is we'd often have a talk with all staff. We're like, look, let's change the name. We don't like it.
Yeah. Did he not like it either?
No, none of us did. We all disliked it. So we'd talk over it and we'd come up with some suggestions, and then we'd sort of say, okay, right, we've got the suggestions now. Let's sit on the ones we like for a month and see if we still like them.
Okay.
And then we'd come back to it, and I can't really remember what they were, but there was always a reason. We were like, yeah, don't like that, or that sounds a bit similar, or it's a bit close to something else. There was always a reason. So I said, let's not change it for the sake of it, because if you do, you look like a business phoenixing from the flames, which we sadly all see too often.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's not change it until we've got something that we can all hang our hat on and
be really proud of.
Yeah, and it fits. But so yeah, it stayed, and they still trade as PC Futures.
Are they still with PC?
Yeah, still going. Yeah.
They still hate the name.
Oh, I suspect so. But I suspect so. But no, none of us really liked it. It's just one of those things, because I thought we were going to be this one-stop shop, come to us for your IT support, your web stuff, your digital marketing, all of that stuff, and actually very quickly don't want to do the IT support bit, don't really want to do that. So the term PC Futures didn't really fit at all.
What you were doing.
Not at all, no. But it served us, and I say it's still serving them now.
But it's memorable. Yeah. We always remembered it in our meetings, didn't we?
Yeah. Hate the name.
The name.
Yeah. That become part of my pitch.
That become part of the pitch, yeah.
Oh, I'm Craig from PC Futures. Hate the name. Yeah. And off he went. Okay, so I'm going to go along and deal with a few other bits and pieces, Craig.
Oh.
So, martial arts.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Got involved in, what was I? 8, I think. I remember getting chased home from school.
From Copplestone?
When I was young. No, this was from
Halifax.
Moorland. Actually,
Okay.
Halifax.
I was being chased home by these kids, and I remember running. They were older kids, a couple of years older than me, and you do the thing. You probably, as a girl, you may not have needed to do it, but mind you, knowing you probably forced people into doing this. Yeah. But no, I ran into some old guy's house and just knocked on his door. I was like, people are chasing me, because I was on my own, and they were waiting for me on the way home. And, so this guy said, get off my grass, and send him away sort of thing. And then one afternoon, they got me and I got a bit laughed up by these kids. And I came home to my dad and he was like, you're right, your shirt's all ripped, what's up, sort of thing. I said, well, these boys chased me. He said, you're all right. I said, yeah. And then it was at that point, I think, I think I was probably about 7, something like that, I think. My dad said, well, I'll teach you how to box. I was like, okay, what's that? You got no real idea of it. But I didn't know my dad was a very good boxer in the army.
Oh.
So he taught me how to box and said, when you see him, as he put it, stick one on him, boy.
Stick one on.
And I did that, and then which I did, and then that all got sorted, and then we kind of got, I then went into karate and other things, ninjutsu, jiu-jitsu, and various other things like that. But my 2 highest graded stuff was kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. Got a black belt in both of those.
You still do any of it now?
I do more. Not much of it now. I got into judo a few years ago with my kids because I wanted to help them with it. So I enjoyed that, but I did a lot of mixed martial arts, the kind of sort of UFC stuff, and that ran a club in Colchester for that for a number of years that started in Ipswich. And, I've done Thai boxing, all sorts of stuff. There's not many martial arts I haven't done over the years because my view was like, well, I want to try stuff.
Yeah.
But I taught, and I ran a club for many, many years and stuff like that.
I was literally watching a movie last night with Eric, and there was some fighting scene in it. And I said, when people say to you, like, if you could have one skill, what would it be? And everyone says, I don't know, be invisible or fly, all that crap.
You want to beat the shit out of people?
I want to be able to not necessarily hurt people, but defend myself. You can just get away from someone and block them and be like a ninja. I just want to be a ninja.
Just cry.
Or just cry. No, but I think everyone should have that ability to be able to not fight, but defend.
But then the muggers would have that as well.
But no one would be attacking the muggers.
But then you'd just be defending.
So it would be the worst fight ever.
Good.
Right, you're both going to go in it, yeah? Right, full defence.
Just keep defending yourself.
So what's going to happen? Well, they're both ready to counter anything that happens.
Then you just tire yourself out and no fight. It's a peaceful world.
With self-defence, I always say, and the truth is, the types of attacks you would suffer as a female are very different to the ones a guy would.
Yeah.
People want to hit, punch, bottle a guy and stuff, whereas girls, it's usually some sort of like sexual violence or domestic violence. Yeah. People are less likely to punch you in the head because it's more visible.
Yeah.
They have questions to ask, so it's choke, strangulations, that sort of stuff. So they're very, very different, but the truth of it is self-defence starts well before anyone's anywhere near you. Particularly for women, it's always that I took a shortcut through the park, going into the parking lot, your friends going out clubbing, and one of you being left or getting drunk and getting separated. So a lot of it starts well before. And from a guy's point of view as well, it's the legalities of it. So if you get in a fight with someone and, speak to a lawyer, but if you boot someone on the ground, it's probably quite hard to argue self-defence because that's assault.
Yeah. If they're already down.
So they may have started it. You may have started a self-defence, but you could end up in assaulting someone because you've booted or stamped on them and stuff like that. There's cameras everywhere nowadays. It's
people have got phones out all the time as well.
It is.
This took a dark turn.
Yeah, it's
You're talking about having the skill to beat people up, and Craig's talking about stomping people.
I'm saying don't do it.
Okay,
but
he's not promoting it.
Yeah, please, for any children listening, no, don't kick people on the ground.
We don't have children,
even if it's your brother or sister. Yeah,
I got into that, and I really enjoyed it. It teaches you discipline.
Do you know? I'm going to ask you a good question. Then this will be a tough one. If there could only be one type of martial art, which is the best?
I mean, that's a tricky one.
I know.
It is.
Okay, if I was to say that I want to start a class next week as a female, what one should I do?
Knitting.
Something like
Throw something.
Something like judo would be good.
Because I actually might.
Well,
there
we go.
I'm inspired today by so many of our guests.
Yeah, when you say throw something at them, if you're doing judo, it's going to be a person.
But there's actually quite a few instances of good judo people, females, absolutely defending themselves, and then some, like knocking people out and stuff.
Look at Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. But because the thing is with judo, you hit them with a planet. When you throw them down, they hit the ground.
Yeah.
The ground's pretty unforgiving.
Yeah.
But there's lots and lots of instances of female very high level judo people being attacked and actually being able to defend themselves. And I shudder, the internet's full of videos of people doing self-defense, and you think, oh my God, it's just going to end up getting you hurt.
Yeah.
But judo is one of those martial arts. It's hard work.
Okay.
By the way,
but you will be
Craig's
good.
answer's wrong, by the way.
What?
It's actually a real
From
answer
a
to this one.
female's point of view, judo's good. I would go more for MMA or something like that, or boxing's
We
very
can't.
good.
MMA is mixed. That's what I'm saying. You have to
But
pick
it
one.
is a style. It
But
is a
you
style.
pick one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can tell you what the answer is if you'd like to know.
Origami, go on then.
The answer is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Why?
Is number one.
Yeah.
So the only reason that I know this, and I know it's weird that I'm going to go and give you fact that's opinion, but it's fact.
Yeah.
So when UFC first started, the whole idea was they're going to have different fighting styles.
Mm-hmm.
So like a karate guy could go against a judo guy, and they'd start answering the question of which one's best.
Yeah.
And generally they found that size was the most important thing. And then they found out that out came the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experts that basically beat up everyone. And so it was like, yeah, that's the style.
I don't know what the difference is.
And then from there,
Brazilian.
that's where it then became, out comes MMA, because they realised that actually the ultimate smart solution is a hybrid of all of them.
Yeah.
So just to school you epically on your own podcast.
I love this one. Go on then.
Yes.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came from judo.
Yes.
So Helio Gracie was taught judo originally.
And Hoisey Gracie.
Hoist Gracie won UFC 1, 2, and drew in the semi-final of 3. And so I know all about this. So I've fought in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. So the difference is, the reason why I don't pick Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a 10 out of 10 on the ground. Fights don't start on the ground.
Yeah, true.
And if you end up going to the ground to fight someone and their mate runs over and soccer kicks your head, you're in trouble.
And a lot of the time, you're not in a cage with a softer ground when you're talking about
so
concrete.
it's all done. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
now
and
I understand. Now I know. I can visualise what you're talking
There's
about.
Sambo as well, which is a Russian version of it. It's referred to as Russian judo. That's really, really good. Wrestling that a lot of the Americans do, that stuff is great. But I would actually say wrestling is really good. Judo is much more prevalent over here than wrestling. Wrestling is better because it starts standing up. And I think that's why I think judo is probably better. And a lot of the time, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu had a massive stranglehold on MMA and UFC and all that stuff years ago.
But
less so now.
But I think it was until they realised that if anyone is an absolute expert, and I don't mean, oh yeah, they've got to black belt. I mean like top 0.01% of any discipline, they seem to just dominate everyone. So when you look at when Ronda Rousey came along, everyone knew exactly what she was going to do.
Well, she was judo.
Yeah, she was a judo practitioner. She would trip you up, she would wrench your arm, and you would quit. Because it was either have your arm broken or
That's
quit.
what I want to do.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
And so this was the thing. So she literally would win every single fight inside the first 15 seconds, and she would do exactly the same thing. So everyone, they went, we don't even have to worry about learning self-defense of like worrying she's going to punch us, because she's not. She's going to do the exact same thing. Everyone knew, but she was so elite level. So her mum, I think, was Olympic level.
Yeah.
And she was like this such elite level that nobody could really defend against it.
But then they sussed it out, Holly Holm.
And then Holly Holm went along and kicked
like
her in the face, and then all changed.
So I would say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo, sambo, all those grappling styles are all really, really good. And you can intermingle all of them. But I would always say the fight never starts on the ground. And this is someone that's done it for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
The fight never starts on the ground. It starts standing up. Therefore, I think from a self-defense point of view, judo is better. So in America, when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was all the rage, lots of police departments started getting their officers to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And quite a few of them were getting a royal pasting because they're trying to take someone to the ground, and then the other they didn't know was there would run and just kick them. So I think, things like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff like that is great if it's drunk Uncle Joe at a family wedding, that's just being an absolute
Then
pain.
you get all the Dagestanis and stuff. That's who you want for that one.
But you can then control and restrain them without hurting the guy.
Yeah.
Things like Thai boxing and stuff like that is brilliant. There are an awful lot of very, very top tier martial arts, not just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but equally there's an awful lot of pants ones.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. But you don't know.
Do you not mean the one of like the hidden kung fu masters from China that can just think about it and then people fall on the ground? Those ones.
Yeah.
They're super,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're just ridiculous. They are. But there you go.
And welcome to the fun side of fighting.
Yeah.
with your host, Gemma Dick.
So I did ninjutsu for many years and stuff like that. Traditional martial art. I've done aikido.
Jem wants to be a ninja. Can you help her?
I really do want to be a ninja.
There's an awful lot of good stuff in it.
You take on clients.
Oh, hang on a second. There's a viral video about the woman who says, "I want to be ninja," isn't there?
I don't know.
Yeah, don't
Have I
Google
just let
that.
myself walk?
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
have I just...
Anyone listening, don't go, "I want to be ninja."
Yeah,
don't do
Okay.
it.
But
I want to self-defend. Can I say it like
that's
that?
fine.
So I would say Japanese jiu-jitsu would be good, judo, stuff like that. From a female's point of view, would be a good start. But the problem is, like anything, there's good, even in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, there's good Brazilian jiu-jitsu schools and there's not so good ones. And, you get, it's like that with any style. You get, you get good accountants and stuff like that, bad accountants. You get good karate schools, bad karate schools. And I think, the trouble is, it's like being stupid. You don't know you're in one, but everyone else does. You don't know you're in a bad school until you find out that actually what you're learning is rubbish.
It's crap, yeah.
How long did it take you to get a black belt?
First one about 5 years.
House did 3.
Yeah. House is very good. House is, I think it's like 6th degree or something like that.
I don't know. He just went, I started at 18. Yeah, black belt by 21.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But you can see people getting black belts at like 12 now. It's ridiculous, in my opinion.
Wow.
Okay, ready for your next question. What made you become a published author?
Published author?
Well,
do I know that bit?
Probably not. No.
Researchers.
Yeah.
It's the researchers on that one.
I had this thing where I thought, if I get hit by a car, my voice is gone. There's nothing for the kids to hear or see or think about. And like many people, I've been involved with Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games all my life. So I've got stories about characters, things that have happened in that. And I thought, well, actually, I'll have a go at it. Like a lot of things I do in life, I think, I'll have a go at that and see whether I'm any good. And you kind of start off and you think, well, this is not right and that's not right. And you find a style and stuff. So I really did it because I had some stories to tell, not because I thought necessarily about the money side of it, but I just thought, do you know what? I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. And I started doing it. And I remember some of the early stuff that I'd written.
But the stories are about things like Dungeons and Dragons and characters.
Yeah, I've written a couple of business books as well, very short, like business books and stuff like that. And a friend of mine ran a publishing business, and he said to me, Craig, do you know anyone that writes? And I said, well, funnily enough, about 3 weeks ago, I finished a book. And he went, really? I went, yeah. So I did that.
What a coincidence.
Another martial arts instructor that I trained with, for many, many years. And that was good, But yeah, I think it was just a case of, I'll give it a go. Give it a go and see how it works. And so I published books with him. He retired, said, I said, I'm done. I'm retiring. And I didn't want to go through the beauty pageant of auditioning for another publisher. And I thought, well, I'll publish it myself. So I got all the files and did it all myself.
Okay, next question for you. Have you ever had a fear of failure?
I think we all privately go through that imposter syndrome.
So how do you deal with it? Because obviously we've gone through the story of, at this point you went to recruitment, you went to another company, you then just formed a company, which is petrifying for someone who's done it. You've then gone, oh, hang on a second, I'll just go and make an IT business, even though I haven't really been in IT, but who cares? I'll just do it. Oh, do you know what? I'll just write a book because why not? Actually, I'll go along and get in a ring with someone and get punched in the face. Oh, I'm going to go and do this stuff. All these things that people will go along and have fear of, yet you just seem to not care.
I think a lot of that came from my upbringing. I mean, I was adopted to a lovely family. They really did everything for me. But my dad taught me about kind of resilience and stuff like that, and I think I've always had the view, like a lot of people in the army do, train hard, fight easy sort of thing. So I was like, if you put in the miles, think things through beforehand, look at the risk. If I try some new venture now and it goes wrong, is it going to ruin me financially? Yes. Well, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. So I always take a risk that I can afford to, even at the worst possible failure. It's not going to sink me, and then plan, and then execute, sort of thing. So I think I've always kind of gone at things that way, and I'm not really frightened of stuff. There are things that I can't do. Accountancy, hence why I use you. The first VAT return I did, I was so pleased doing it in Sage Line 50 many, many years ago. And then I swore absolutely went berserk because I realised I'd done it for the wrong 3 months. And it took me like a whole morning to do it. It was Sage Life. And so that's it. I'm never doing it again.
Not doing it again.
But it's not my strength. So there, I appreciate there are things that fall in your wheelhouse.
There we go, Jem. We'll have that one as a quote for Craig.
Yeah.
Not scared of being punched in the face, not scared of setting up multiple businesses, but don't ask them to do a VAT return.
Not doing a VAT return.
But we all,
that fears me.
We all have things that bother us and things that we're uncomfortable with. But from my point of view, I thought, I'll give it a go. I can survive this going horribly wrong. It's not going to do me, huge amounts of harm. But I think it's a case of going, and again, thinking that Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get hit in the face. And, your plans very rarely survive first contact.
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to adapt with it rather than just keep digging yourself into a hole and drowning. And being able to ask for help, I think is, it's not an easy thing for me. But I actually think, I learned that lesson through my years of commercial work and stuff, that actually, do you know what? It's okay to not know the answer straight away when a client asks you something.
I love that.
It's okay, but I used to feel the pressure as a young guy.
I think so many people are like that because they think if I ask for help, I've failed.
Yeah.
If I don't know the answer, I'm not doing my job well enough.
But you think back, time before the internet, we didn't have the resources we had available to ourselves. And that back then, I think it was more frightening then than it is now. But the problem is lots of, you can have information overload and everything else. But I think, my view is, and this was one of the differences that I've had with people I've worked with in the past. Their view is, let's try this. What if it goes wrong? What if it goes wrong? I'm like, but what if it goes right? That's the more important bit. If you go
that's
through
probably
life,
the easiest way to deal with fear of failure as well.
If you go through life not trying anything, you get to the end of it and you're like, well, I didn't.
Okay, I've got final 2 questions for you. If you could go back and tell 12-year-old Craig something, what would you tell him?
Try and continue with acting. No. To be honest,
EastEnders needs extras,
and stay at Stoke.
Yeah, I think a lot of people,
if you stayed at Stoke, that would have made your career.
It would have been a lot of things I'd tell myself, but it would be things like life's going to be all right, sort of thing. Believe in yourself, all that sort of stuff. Invest in Amazon when that comes up, definitely. I would have said, you don't know what an almanac is.
Sell a pizza for 35 Bitcoin.
Yeah, you need to find invest in Apple and all this sort of stuff. So things like that. I would always gone through things, like all of us. I wish I was a lot richer.
Okay, and your final one, in your years in business and life, if you had to pick one thing as your biggest achievement. And by the way, I'm going to rule out your kids and your wife just because it's too easy for people to do it. What would it be?
I would have said being in profit every year since I've started a business since 2005, even the first year.
Do you know what? That's a strong thing to
even
have.
the first years. Now, I'm not talking mega money or anything like that, but it's looking at... there was a phrase my dad had that has stuck with me throughout my life. He said, don't confuse efforts with results. Actually, no, it wasn't my dad. It was a boss, actually. Said to me, don't confuse efforts with results. And one of my managers said to me, I like you, Craig, because when you come to me with a problem, you also come to me with a solution. Say, I think I could do this about it. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
And she said, I appreciate you checking in with me. Yeah, that's good. Most people come to me with that, this doesn't work. What do I do? And then it's, I'm looking at you for the answer. Whereas she said, you come to me with an idea. And the don't confuse efforts with results bit, I think so many people say, I woulda, I shoulda, I tried, I this and that. But that's a frustration. That's actually a weakness of mine as well, is if you come to me with like a problem you've got and you've got faced with 5 possible solutions, I can struggle with people when I see them. One of them is evidently the ridiculous solution. Why did you pick that? Or people that ask for your advice but don't actually really want it. My view is efforts and results. If you say you're going to do it, do it. Find, change your plan, adapt, and stuff like that. So it's a good phrase.
Oh, great note to end on.
Craig Sennett, thank you so much.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
It's been amazing. Cheers, Craig. Thank you for listening to the Fun Side of Business podcasts, brought to you by NEIT for any of your IT requirements. Why not catch Nick and Jem on the Extra Slice, available to all our subscribers. Thanks for listening.